All right, this is THS Mr. Jones, and we're going to talk about chapter 2.1, which talks about the graph, okay, and distance and midpoint. So we have what is called the Cartesian plane, and the Cartesian plane is just what you know it as a graph with an x and a y axis, okay, and we can graph everything on this. Okay. The first thing we normally learn to graph is points. Okay, we first graph points, and points have an address. Okay, or I call it an address. And each address is an x and y ordered pair. Okay, so the x and y ordered pairs are specific numbers telling you which way to go left and right, and then go up and down. So if I give you, I don't know, let's say 3, -2. So that means we're going to go to the right 3 spots, and then we're going to go down 2, making that ordered pair there. Let's say that's point A. Okay, and then we could have another point, let's say -1, 4. So then we're going to go left 1 and up 4. Okay, we'll call that point B. Okay, so we can graph points anywhere on the line. If it's on the line, that means either x or y is 0. We have the origin, which is at 0, 0 for that address. The next thing we have are quadrants. Okay, so my graph is split into 4 quadrants. We have quadrant 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay, so we've got our 4 different quadrants there, spelling out a big C because it's the Cartesian plane. Okay, so just know your quadrants there. There's a couple different measurements I want to talk about with points. Okay, so I have 2 points here, and the first thing we may want to think about is, well, how far are those 2 points apart? Well, we're going to want to look for the distance. Okay, we have a distance formula, but sometimes, and here's a distance formula. Okay, so you subtract your x's, square them, add your y's subtracted, square them, and then take the square root. But a lot of times that formula is just way too confusing to remember. So what I like to do instead is, unless there's like radicals and stuff in here, which we will see in decimals, this works way better. Okay, so we're just going to make a triangle here, actually. Okay, so we have a right triangle there, and we'll think about, well, how long is this side right here? Well, from here to here is 4, and here to here is 2, so that side's going to be 6. And then how long is this side right here? Well, that's 1, and that's 3, so that makes 4. Okay. Well, if I want to find this length right here, we'll just take 4 squared plus 6 squared equals c squared, Pythagorean theorem, and just work it out. Okay, so if you can't remember the formula down there, use the Pythagorean theorem. Okay, and we did the same. Okay, to find out this length right here, I just subtract my 2 x's. What is 3 minus -1? That's 4. Okay, but that is the formula. We also have what's called the midpoint. And the midpoint is a point. That's why I'm writing it as an ordered pair. Okay, and the midpoint is really, notice I had 2 points, I divided by 2, I had 2 numbers, I divided by 2. So the midpoint here is actually the average. It's the average between your 2 points. Okay, it's the average of your x's, it's the average of your y's. And the next thing that gets confused, and the only reason I'm talking about slope is because it gets confused with distance and midpoint. Okay, slope is the change of y over your change of x. Or it is y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Okay, change of y over change of x. So in my y direction, how much do I change? Starting here. How much do I go up? Well, I went up 6. How much do I go to the left? I went left 4, so that's a negative 4. So my slope is negative 3 over 2. Okay, so that is my slope. The slope is how steep this line is. Okay, so you have how long is my line, how steep is my line, and where's the middle of my line. Okay, those are the three measurements we're talking about here in chapter 2.1. Okay, so we're going to want to be able to do that with different numbers. Okay, we could have radicals, we could have decimals, we could have fractions, we could have all sorts of things with that. Let's real quick talk about maybe some domain and ranges here. Okay, so in quadrant 1, x is bigger than 0 and y is bigger than 0. Okay, so they're all positive in this quadrant. In quadrant 2, x is less than 0, but y is still greater than 0. In quadrant 3, x is less than 0 and y is less than 0. And in quadrant 4, x is bigger than 0 and y is less than 0. Okay, so those are your domain and ranges for all 4 quadrants. That's all the possibilities that we could have with x and y. Okay, let's talk about your 2.1 video questions. So number 1, how can I find the distance between 2 points? List 2 ways for me. And number 2, find the midpoint, or finding the midpoint is really finding what? Okay, there are your suggested problems. I'll link the lesson video right here, and you may want to give that a watch. This video was really short and really easy, so you may want to pre-look at those examples before you come to class. As always, this is at THS, Mr. Jones signing off.